Recently, I've taken a look back into the best times of my life. That, of course, being my time in the Roman Empire. I'm kidding. I actually have, however, been thinking about how advanced the Roman Empire was for its time. For instance, did you know their concrete was actually better than ours today? This had me wondering, just how advanced were they? This led me to crafting the question we'll be analyzing today. Could the Roman Empire beat the Ender Dragon? We're going to be looking at if the Roman Empire was attacked by Minecraft's final boss, the Ender Dragon. This means that the Ender Dragon would be out of its environment and would not have the End Crystals. This, of course, gives the advantage to the Romans, but I believe it would be entirely unfair if the Romans had to go to the End, because I doubt they would have worn pumpkins on their heads. Just to show the scale of the fight, at the Roman Empire's peak, there was around 70 million people, meaning the Ender Dragon doesn't exactly have its work cut out for it. Now, the first thing we should be looking at is the Romans' weapons. These include bows, swords, and some other strange things, like a scorpio, which is a catapult-type weapon that had the ability to pierce shields. While we know these were widely spread within the Roman army, we need to also look at how the citizens defended themselves, which also happens to be what we defend ourselves with, an AR-15. I'm kidding, they often had knives on them for defense. With this being said, we should look at how much damage these things could do by looking at their Minecraft equivalent. For instance, an arrow from a bow does 6 health points, or 3 hearts. The swords in Roman times were actually a blend of steel and iron, so we will say they do the same amount as an iron sword, which is 3.5 hearts. Now the closest thing to a Scorpio in Minecraft is a crossbow, which does around 3 to 5.5 hearts. We will narrow this down to an average of 4.5 hearts. I know the Romans used several different weapons, but Minecraft doesn't really have counterparts for them all, and spears, while in beta, have not been fully released. On to the easier part, we should take a look at the Ender Dragon itself and see its health. The dragon has 200 hit points, meaning if you hit the Ender Dragon 200 times, it would die. Using this knowledge, we already know the Roman Empire has an upper edge, because if some 12-year-old can beat the Ender Dragon with bare fist, I'm sure an army has a pretty strong chance. But before saying the Roman Empire solos, we should take a little bit of a deeper dive. While we can assume the Ender Dragon would act like a normal fictional dragon, it's good to look at the source material. The first thing we should look at is its design, which is mostly black. This means it could have an upper hand at night, camouflaging itself. Another big thing we should notice is the actual hitbox in the game, which is mostly around the head and torso. We can assume this translates to this being the weak points of the dragon. After looking at the physical side, we should look at how it acts, which is quite peculiar. After taking enough damage throughout the fight, we can see it perch. This is its main weakness, easily giving the opponent an upper hand. The Ender Dragon, while physical, does seem to have some magical elements to it. This can be seen mostly with its fireballs, which are very different from the normal ones in game. This points to magical abilities, since other creatures with poison have to actually interact and sting their targets, whereas the Ender Dragon can just create areas of effect. This magical ability is known as Dragon's Breath, which is essentially a form of poison that lingers. The dragon also throws this up when perched, which gives a good general understanding of where it comes from. We can imagine the Ender Dragon makes this poison inside of its body and hurls it out. This is also why it's immune to its own attacks, because creatures that have venom adapt to their own poison. Knowing this, we can just say that Ender Dragon spits out magical poison instead of fire. Speaking of magic, we should look at one of the most outrageous crimes of this century, witchcraft. Now, witchcraft is much more widely accepted today, especially after JFK's speech on it, where he stated, "All fire mages and water mages should be treated as Americans." This also got him into some pretty hot water because he didn't include dark magic mages. Of course, this is only one example of many, but back in ancient Rome, we see a very different story, where witchcraft was punishable by death. Now, I love taking things at face value, so using this information, we are going to say witches and wizards existed in the Roman Empire, just hidden. When looking at ancient Rome's understanding of magic, we can see they mostly believed in things like curses and charms to keep one out of danger. But this could come in handy against the Ender Dragon. We could see some curse the Ender Dragon and some use protection charms to save themselves. This could also lead to some problems with the Empire itself, where some reveal themselves as mages and are eventually put to death even though they saved their civilization. This could be why mages don't step in or fight back. So, if they did actually perform, they would have to do it secretly. So, we can assume if mages are involved, the Ender Dragon is at a larger disadvantage. Using all of this knowledge, we can assume that the Roman Empire has once again been proven to be unmatched. I think the Roman Empire would effortlessly win against the Ender Dragon. especially because of its perch mechanic. With this being said, I don't think they would win against the Wither, mostly because of the Wither effect. That, however, would be a completely different analysis. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.